Something just shifted in the WNBA, and it didn't come from a highlight play you saw on the broadcast. It came from the angles you weren't supposed to see. What looked like a routine preseason clash between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at Barclays Center has now exploded into one of the most dissected moments of the early season. Because once that fan footage surfaced, the entire tone of the conversation changed. And right at the center of that storm is Sophie Cunningham. Not for scoring, not for stats, for something far more primal, control of space. This wasn't just basketball. This was territory. The moment that sparked everything to understand why Cunningham flipped the script, you have to go back to the sequence that ignited it all, a controversial off-ball collision involving Breanna Stewart. At first glance, it looked routine. A screen, a bump, nothing unusual. But slow it down and everything changes. As Cunningham moves along the perimeter, Stewart steps into her path. But instead of holding position, her momentum carries forward. Her upper body leans in. The contact is direct, forceful, immediate. And then, just as quickly, her hands go up. A signal of innocence. That split-second sequence is now under a microscope. Was it a legal screen with incidental contact? Or a calculated play designed to send a message? The answer depends on perspective. But what happened next doesn't. Cunningham didn't flinch. No dramatics. No appeal. No pause. She absorbed the contact and made a decision. The real strategy behind it, because this wasn't random. The Liberty had a clear objective: disrupt Caitlin Clark before she could control the game. Not just contest shots, break rhythm, crowd her space, bump her off routes, apply constant physical pressure, force discomfort before the ball even arrives. And for a stretch, it worked. Defenders were hand-checking, closing gaps aggressively, turning every off-ball movement into a battle. It was layered, intentional, and built on one key assumption: that the whistle wouldn't come every time. That assumption created an opening, and Cunningham stepped right into it. Enter the enforcer. This is where everything changed. Cunningham didn't respond emotionally. She responded structurally. Possession by possession, she began reshaping the game, setting heavier screens, sealing defenders earlier, positioning herself with purpose. Not reckless, not chaotic, deliberate. She stopped reacting to the game and started controlling it. Every time a Liberty defender stepped into Clark's space, Cunningham was there. Not always with force, but always with presence. Creating barriers, redirecting movement, forcing defenders to think twice. She became a constant, a physical equation the Liberty had to solve on every possession. And then came the moment that lit up the internet. Clark drives. A defender rotates in from the weak side, preparing for contact. Out of nowhere, Cunningham steps across. She plants. Clean angle. Strong base. The defender runs straight into her. Impact. And instantly, the reaction. Arms thrown up, body falling backward, a clear attempt to sell the call. But the replay strips it down to fundamentals. Feet set. Position established. Contact absorbed. Legal. That contrast between Cunningham's controlled physicality and the opponent's theatrical reaction became the entire conversation. Within hours, one label took over social media: Caitlin Clark's bodyguard. Why that label stuck? Because it captures something deeper. What Cunningham brings isn't common in today's game. She plays on the edge, where physicality meets legality, where positioning becomes power, where effort turns into intimidation without crossing the line. Her screens don't just create space. They claim it. And that changes behavior. Because basketball at this level isn't just about execution, it's about comfort. If defenders feel resistance every time they apply pressure, they adjust, even slightly. And that slight hesitation? It changes everything. Last season, Caitlin Clark absorbed relentless physical punishment. Bumps, grabs, constant pressure. Over time, that wear and tear added up, impacting her durability and rhythm. There wasn't a consistent counterbalance. Now there is. The bigger impact: Cunningham doesn't need to dominate the box score to control the game. Her value shows up in decisions. Do defenders press as aggressively? Do they fight through every screen? Do they initiate contact knowing it might come right back? Those micro-decisions stack up. They shift possessions. They shift momentum. They shift outcomes. And that's what makes her presence so important. The line between physical and controversial, of course, this style lives in a gray area. Cunningham operates right on the edge. Some of her screens will be called. Some won't. There will be games where the whistle turns against her. That's part of the role. But it's also what makes her effective. She forces the game into uncomfortable territory, where opponents have to decide how much physicality they're willing to handle. What this means moving forward for the Indiana Fever, this isn't just about one preseason game. It's about identity. They're building something that blends skill with resistance, speed with strength, star power with protection. And for the rest of the league, the message is clear. If you're going to pressure Caitlin Clark, you're not going to do it uncontested anymore. Her screens are heavy. Her positioning is aggressive. She challenges defenders to either fight through or back off. That kind of presence changes behavior. It introduces hesitation. And hesitation at this level is everything. Last season, Caitlin Clark absorbed one of the heaviest physical workloads in the league. Constant contact. Relentless pressure. The cumulative effect wasn't just visible, it was damaging. It contributed to injuries that ultimately cut her rookie campaign short. There was no consistent counterbalance. Until now. The return that changed the equation. Cunningham's performance carries even more weight when you consider the context. 9 months ago, she was rehabbing a torn MCL. 9 months of uncertainty.
Pain.
Rebuilding strength. Relearning movement. Wondering whether she could return to the same level of physical confidence. Saturday answered that question. Completely. No hesitation in her movement. No fear in contact. No adjustment in identity. She finished with 13 points on efficient shooting and posted a strong plus-minus, but those numbers barely scratched the surface. Her true impact showed up in how the Liberty adjusted their defense as the game progressed. The aggressive pressure on Clark didn't disappear.
But it softened.
Just enough. And that's the enforcer effect. Why this changes everything. Basketball isn't just about skill, it's about comfort. If a player like Clark feels even a fraction more space, a fraction more time, her effectiveness skyrockets. Cunningham doesn't need to dominate the stat sheet to influence that. She just needs to exist within the action, to be seen, to be felt. And opponents start recalculating. Do you press as aggressively? Do you fight through every screen? Do you initiate contact knowing it might come right back? Those split-second decisions reshape possessions. And over the course of a game, they reshape outcomes. The business reality, here's where it gets even more interesting. Cunningham is currently on a 1-year deal. For a player delivering this level of impact, not just statistically but culturally, that's a massive bargain. She brings identity, toughness, and a psychological edge that can't be easily replaced. Teams around the league are watching. The Las Vegas Aces, the Phoenix Mercury, organizations that understand the value of physical presence and playoff-level intensity will absolutely take notice. If Indiana doesn't lock her in long-term, someone else will. The viral finish, and then, just to complete the moment, Cunningham leaned into it. Post-game, she drops a TikTok from her hotel room. Music playing, energy high, confidence unmistakable. She flexes her surgically repaired knee, smiles into the camera, and celebrates like someone who knows exactly what she just did. It spreads instantly, because it captures everything. The edge, the personality, the confidence.
She's not just back.
She's louder. The bigger picture for the Indiana Fever, this isn't just about one preseason game. It's about identity. They're building something that blends skill with toughness, speed with resistance, star power with protection. And for the rest of the league, the message is simple. If you're going to play physical against Caitlin Clark, you're going to feel it coming back. Now the conversation shifts to you. Was this elite, playoff-level physicality, or did it cross a line? And more importantly, are the Fever evolving into the most intimidating team in the WNBA right now?